It's only going to get better and better with this live setup.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going to be live streaming from the Harley. Do you have one of them yet?
No, I don't. Got to pay attention on there.
That's a sick Harley.
Yeah, it's nice. It is. It's 2021 Street Glide. So I put about 8 to 10,000 miles a year on my bike. So about every 3
Are them rims
years.
stock?
Yeah, they stock. It's a stock bike. Pipes are new, but it's sweet. Like I said, I ride it pretty much every day. I ride my motorcycle. Ride it to work. I have a limit, 32 degrees, right? So one day, Cody, my oldest son's
Just bring it just a little bit.
Got a Harley too, right? So we was at Grandpa's house there, playing music. He's like, Dad, I got to bring my car to the shop tomorrow. I'm going to have to drive my motorcycle in the morning. And it was going to be 24 degrees. And I'm thinking, oh, hell no, he's not going to ride his motorcycle to work. And I don't, right? So I roll up in there. It was 24 degrees. Got into work, and at lunchtime I go run. So I went out to run and no motorcycle. I knew Cody was at work. So I got back to work and I pinged him. I said, Cody, where's your motorcycle? Oh, I bought Grandpa's truck. I'm like, you got me. So, but hey, it's like you said, it's wind therapy, right? It is just, I was the kid, every Christmas I wanted a motorcycle, every Christmas, right? And never got one. I was 42 years old when I bought my first Harley. I'm 60 now. And I sent a picture to my mom. She said, are you kidding? I immediately called her. I said, Mom, I'm 42 years old. I said, I wanted a motorcycle my whole life, right? I love Honda in high school. And ever since then I've ridden. I mean, it's therapy, right? I can just go get on my motorcycle and go.
So my buddy, I lost Jughead. I was like probably 22, 23. So for me, he bought me we were roommates, and he always rode. He had like a Hayabusa with a 240 on it.
Oh gosh,
he's big into custom bikes. And
right.
we had a Bulldog chopper.
Okay,
but I go outside of our driveway, and there's a Gixxer 1000, and he goes, "That's your bike." I said, "What?" He goes, "You got to get your license. We're going next week." I was like, "All right." So that's what got me hooked. It was because he wanted a riding partner,
right?
And my roommate bought me a motorcycle.
Yeah, no,
and at the time, that's a fancy bike.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just, it's a feeling, right? It's you can't explain the feeling to other people that don't do it, right? And I mean, I'll get on my bike and go to Daytona. It take me 12 and a half hours, leave my house to get to the condo in Daytona. But it's just riding. It's just, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not going anywhere, and I don't drink. I don't party. I go down there. I do the biker, the strip, and I take the rides. You know, just go out and ride 2 or 3 hours, get a cup of coffee, go get lunch or something, turn around and come back. It's just an amazing outlet in life.
I know what it feels like. I mean, I got bit by, and I've been, thank God, but I mean, there's a few times where I've been in wrecks, and I'll share the story with you. I was on the way to Todd Trench, the Gulf Coast Spotlight, and this is cruising the coast, and I was leaving here, and I was driving over at McDonald's, hitting that bridge, getting down. Well, somebody had like a 55 oil right in the oil, and it was my fault. I shouldn't have hit the middle.
No, right.
But I went underneath the family's Tundra, the SUV Sequoia.
Right.
My bike went underneath the median, over on the other side, still running. No scratch on it. I got road rash and I broke a rib.
Right.
But I ended up going I just said, why is the bike standing straight up? I'm like, oh, that's a sign for God. So I just hop on the bike, go all the way to the interview. They changed my shirt. And then I ended up going to Brandon Elliott's house and sitting on the beach. And we were telling that story yesterday because I was at his house. We're sitting on the beach. And but I'm very, something about two wheels to me. It's just, I was scared of it the first week.
Right.
But once it became the road.
Yeah, you respect it, right? I took a road motorcycle riding course for a whole weekend, 2 weekends actually. And they started you out on a basic little Honda Rebel. And you ran over car tires. You ran over 4x4s. They showed you how to not wreck, right? And I mean, today when I'm riding, I think of something I learned in that class. I paid for 2 other guys to go through that class because it will save your life. Yeah. And it's just, again, it's just amazing. It's amazing times. Me and a buddy of mine left probably 2 years ago going to Panama City. And him was running along, and we crossed the Diamond Head Bridge. And we was running behind an 18-wheeler, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he hit something. His bike started porpoising. I mean, up and down, and start doing a death roll slide. By the grace of God, he did not drop his bike. It totaled his bike out. He hit a drive shaft off a big truck. A drive shaft. And by the grace of God, he did not wreck. And we didn't. If he'd have crashed, he'd have killed.
You know, my guess was the rethread 18-wheeler tires. I've hit one.
Yeah, no, this was a drive shaft.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying, but that's one of the scariest ones too. Them tires.
Yeah.
But and then so when we stand on the side of the road, an 18-wheeler hit that drive shaft, went down in the middle of the road, jackknife, come back across the road, and blew out half of his tires on his truck.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was just, by the grace of God, early, brother, he was. It was just crazy, But again, right, you're riding along and you're paying attention and just in the wind. It's just amazing journeys. We did Sturgis trip.
But what do you think about cruising the coast right now?
Cruising the coast is great. It's a great venue. It's
got to be beautiful.
It's amazing. It's over 9,600 some cars registered, I heard.
But riding Bay St. Louis and riding that,
it is amazing. I mean, the traffic just, the traffic starts backing up some, but you go down by St. Louis and up and down Main Street, up and down the beach. There's just cars parked. I mean, there's 4 o'clock in the morning. People get there to get a spot. It's just phenomenal, right? And it's just then the crowds, right? They're inviting. It's a laid back, just inviting crowd, right? You got all the people sitting up with tents along the beach area there, and everybody's cooking, everybody's family and friends, and you just kind of catch up with everybody and see all the old cars. It's an amazing event that's has grown to. It's phenomenal, right?
Yeah. I got 2 vehicles down right now. I got a Ford Lightning. I got all the tires for it ordered. And then with Carter's Champions, it's been so busy, but I wanted to have my Lightning out there, a black Lightning, and there's not many black Lightnings. And then I was like, you know what? Because I'm carbureted on my scooter. So I fixed the carb, got it running, and I pulled my finger on the tire, and there was a dry rot it. And you can't get them anywhere.
No, right.
So I'm in the mill.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I missed 1 year. Normally, I'm always there. I was able yesterday to sit and watch the cars. I feel like Cruising the Coast is taken over by C10s now.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's some wicked C10s, and I'm the guy that's the the not painted all rusty, look it up, and clear coated over it. That's cool. It's just amazing, right? I mean, tomorrow's I think Mopar Day in the Bays tomorrow, down at the Depot District.
You're gonna be down there?
I'm trying to get down there tomorrow afternoon, after work. Try to run down there, but it's just turned into such a great family event, right? It's just still so laid back, and it's just amazing. People that come into town for that.
We're about to hit our commercial. Let's see right here. Let me hit this first for y'all. All right. So the 4th annual Cayce Seal tournament, Captain Al's November 2nd. We got Mr. Doug here, Jesse Williams. We got the team. Check this out. If you're looking to volunteer, donate, information's there. You can message me too, and I'll get you in contact. And then let's hit our pink dress. Stay tuned. This Doug Seal is here from Bay St. Louis. He is on the other side of the coast. 2024 Pink Dress Run, October 19th. Sign up at pinkdressrun.com or carterschampions.com. All money raised from our events go to Memorial Hospital Foundation. We've raised over $400,000 to help fight breast cancer right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Come out and have a good time. If you don't want to make it out, donate. There's a link on our website. Go to carterschampions.com or pinkdressrun.com. Can't wait to see you there.
Me awful, home, auto, muscle, builders, lips, and life is rich.
Oliver's good.
Oliver Shots is rich.
Right, and and there's a balance. 100% there's a balance, right? But the economic development from sales tax revenue is huge, right? I mean, City of Bay St. Louis, property tax, sales tax, and casino revenue were 85% of our budget.
Yeah.
Right. When the casino closed down for COVID and we got $80,000 that month, if it had been down 6 months, we lost, a third of our budget.
Yeah.
Right. People don't understand the economics, right? They just, and that's what I like to do. I like to teach people about politics. I like to tell people the facts and figures about politics, right? Because then they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what's cool. That's what we don't do. I do as much as I can, and as a councilman, and I'm a facts and figure guy. I can roll some numbers out, and people understand once you can tell them factually what you're doing. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Let's go before you got to become a politician, or you're Save the People. I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah. So
where are you from?
So start from the beginning, right? I was born in Bay St. Louis on Dunbar at Hancock General Hospital in 1964. It's kind of funny. We living right in the area, and I told my wife, I said I was born there, and now it's a nursing home, and that's probably where I'm going to die at. So I got back home. My mom, dad divorced when I was a baby. We lived a life of kind of moved around a little bit. We lived in New Orleans. Stepfather had a big funeral home in New Orleans, E.J. Ransom and Son funeral home. We lived in New Orleans East when it was the suburbs, right? That's where everybody was moving to back in the 70s, 69, 70s. From there, we moved to Carrier, Mississippi. Lived there for a couple of years. Then we moved to Picayune. From sixth grade, from fifth grade till I graduated. We lived in Picayune.
So you moved down a good bit.
Yeah, we did. We moved, different moves. I would stay with my aunt and uncle for a little bit, or my grandparents for a little bit, but it was, it takes a village to raise all of us, and from each person I gleaned love, I gleaned compassion. Each person teaches you something in life. And I think that's helps me to be more empathetic, to be more caring, because I can understand people's plights sometimes, because maybe I've been that child sometimes, which, my wife says sometimes you're too hard, from life, but I'm too soft sometimes, as well, too caring, too giving. But from that, it has helped me become the person I am today. Alcoholism is a bad drug in my family. My father unfortunately died an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. February 14th, 1998 is the last time I had a drink. Some people don't know that. I was 98? Bad. 98. So people didn't, I could drink beer all day if I get on that whiskey. That was bad. Drank a bottle of Crown that last night I drank. I was mean to my wife. It was just not, just typical drunk, right? People don't realize what you are when you get to be that person. But I realized if I didn't change, my kids would grow up to life like I did. So it wasn't bad. My life wasn't terrible, right? But it was just different, right? And I made a change. I chose sobriety from my wife and children. And that's the best choice I ever made in my life, right? I married my best friend. We met. She says I had too much fun growing up, and she was friends with me and a guy was friends, and Michelle was a friend of the sister. So we kind of met. She thought I was a jerk, and she didn't like me, and but we got to be friends, and real good friends, and never did anything. And when I would come home from the military, I went in the military in 1982, December 26, 1982. I left to go to the military. So day after Christmas, my mom and aunt loaded me up, brought me to New Orleans Airport, and shipped me off to the Navy. But it was another great adventure in life, right? But so when I come home, me and Michelle, I'd call her up and she'd drive me around, right? I didn't have a car. And went to my grandparents' house one day, and my papa said, he said, "You're gonna marry that girl one day." We both looked at each other and just laughed, because we were just friends, right? But when it just it happened, we dated for 6 months and got married. And
I wasn't even hanging out.
No. 37 years later, we're still enjoying life. Yeah, really. I mean, it was that, And
were you into her at the time?
We just always. You just had that something, right?
Yeah.
It was just always that something. They lived down in Lakeshore, and I'd get drunk with my friends, and I'd wind up at her house, or mom would make her get out of her bed so I can sleep in her bed instead of driving to the kill. So she'd get mad at me about that, so it was kind of funny. But her family kind of, took me in when I was around. And so it was always just good friends. And it was Thanksgiving, actually, and we was hanging out, was going to family stuff together, like we were dating or something, and we weren't, we were just hanging out.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe, though.
Yeah, it was crazy, and we were, I mean, literally, it was just that feeling, and it was, I hear about these people, oh, we dated 8 years and got married. I'm like, it took you 8 years to realize you was in love, but you hear love stories of older generations that, oh, we dated 3 months and got married in 50 years. We've been married, right? We just knew, so it was a blessing. And she's been a trooper. We've literally been around the world. After I got out the Navy, I worked for a company. We worked for NSA for 7 years. We lived in South Korea for 4 years. Loved it.
The food,
the people.
Yeah.
The South Korea. We was down in a small town south of Seoul called Daegu. It's about 2.5 hours outside of Seoul. It was not a country town. It was a metropolitan area, but all the roads were dirt. When we got there, we lived in a high-rise apartment, 8 stories, had running water, but only had hot water twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. And it wasn't always the hours that I needed because I was going to work, right? So that was the funny story, trying to take a shower without getting wet. Then the elevators, had 2 elevators, but only one worked a week. So one week you would go up a floor to get you and walk down a flight of stairs to bring your groceries home. And the next week the elevator stopped on your floor. Why they did that, I don't know. Right. I guess conserve energy, or
was it a lot cheap? It was a lot cheaper though.
Yeah. Relatively speaking, it was okay. Honestly, for the money, over there, we were probably paying $700-800 a month for an apartment. It wasn't like $10 a month. Right. It was the own economy was still,
and it was a while back too.
Yeah.
Make sure I cut this fan off because it's going to go on again.
Yeah. Okay. So it was interested. After that, we went to Germany, went to a small town called Bad Aibling, which was south of Munich, right on the Austrian border. We stayed there for 3 years. And after that, we realized it was time to come home. Our son, Cody, was getting a little bit older, and we wanted to come home so we could grow up around his family. Right. And after we got home, Cody cried because he wanted to go back to South Korea. He wanted to go see his ajima. We had a lady that took care of him, and he wanted to go. I want to go home. I want to go home. And Michelle kept saying, "We are home. We are home." So it was pretty amazing, right? But no, we have had a blessed life. We have two children, Cody and Cayce. Cody's my oldest son, who is amazing. He has been on a journey. He was in school. He wound up going to Marine Corps in 2005, 2006 time frame. Did a couple tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, but got out and came home. And he struggled some, just he has the same gene I have of alcoholism. He struggled, and he's got a son, Easton. And for a while, he struggled. We worried about him. But now he's almost 3 years sober.
Really?
It's just amazing. He's a musician now. My wife's family's all musicians, and kind of learning, and Grandpa helped teach them, and Grandma helped teach them, and he just learned, and now he's gotten, every time we go hear him, he seems he's gotten better, right? He plays a lot of places. I mean, he plays at Shaggy's on Monday nights. Tomorrow night he's playing at Shaggy's. So he's become a phenomenal person, and it's amazing the transition, right? We at Shaggy's the other night, we ran into a father, and his son was having some issues, right? And I said, well, that's my son. He's almost 3 years sober. So your son, he can change, right? He's got to want to change. He's got to understand there's a reason to change, right? Cody has Easton, and us, right? And he, a guy at work the other day, he said, man, what's going on with Cody, man? He's been running around, he's smiling and laughing and cutting up all the time. He said, he's going to church more or something. I said, no, he's in a good place in life, right? And he's, we're just so proud of him. I am, the whole story, before Cayce passed away, he bought the house across the street from us to move into, and he passed away the week that he was going to move into the house. Now Cody and his Keely and the boys are living there now, so we have Cody at home, and and I still tell people, we got a little engineer at work. He's got a set of twins, and oh my God, they're keeping me up at night. I said, let me tell you, I got a 34-year-old son that still keeps me up at night. So you got a few years left, right? And laugh. But it's, you worry about your kids, right? But our Cody is just, he was a little scrawny kid in high school. We played soccer in high school. He was a bull rider in high school. 9th, 10th grade, he was riding bulls, high school rodeos at Stanislaus. So we traveled the rodeo circuit. He never got good. We actually went out to Texas for a couple of weeks for school, Lyle Sankey Rodeo School. And but he loved it. He was a cowboy. He just loved that, and it was fun. Me and him got to, to high school rodeo. You just drive to where you're going when you're a bull rider. And, we'd go out there, and bull riding was always last. But they always had to be there at the beginning of the night for opening ceremonies, right? So we had a lot of time to hang out and do nothing and eat and talk and just hang out, right? But it's some good times. And one night he got tore up pretty good. A bull drug him out the gate, drug his leg across the post, and friends of ours, Roger and Sharon, were there. And man, before Cody hit the ground, I think Roger was over the fence on top of Cody to keep the bull away from him. I mean, their daughter, I think Maggie, was maybe in the rodeo with him, but and he got beat up pretty good a few times, broke his arm. We had Cody and Cayce both were in cast the same summer. Cody broke his arm riding bulls. Cayce broke his arm riding skateboards. So we talked about DHS maybe having to be called on us, to see what the hell we were doing. So no, they didn't, right? But but both of them we were both legit, right? But no, it's our Cody has just become phenomenal. He's we're so proud of him, and he's got that volunteer spirit, right? Friends of ours lost their son, Robert Ingersoll, and they have a big benefit now. So in actually October 19th, there's a big poker run, big benefit down at the Lakeshore Community Center. Poker run starts at the Broke Spoke, I think like at 10 o'clock. Last card ends at the Community Center at 3. Well, Cody does the poker run, organizes the poker run, and he's in that giving back mode in life as well.
They'll change you. I've been giving back for a decade.
Yeah, and
it's to change you.
Yeah,
you'll go from selfless. I mean, I was very selfish, and then by my second year, I started just seeing these people suffering.
Yeah,
and it just my whole life changed.
Yeah, and
once you get in that situation, there's no going back.
Yeah,
like right now, ours is the 19th to run too, and it's like there's no going back. Like right. I'm skipping sleep, and I'm just in it,
right?
Because I know that once I get to that 20th,
right,
that Sunday,
oh, yeah.
It's sleeping for a day,
right?
Yeah, at least
starting over
no
again,
phone,
right? Yeah,
no phone.
Yes,
I'm gonna wrestle with my son, but it's good. I think everybody should do it. I think everybody should get out and help.
Yeah, it's it's part of our nature, our human spirit. Some people don't know how to start to help. They're afraid, or they don't know how to get started. But our family's always been pretty involved in the community, both my boys and ourselves, right? And it's been an amazing journey. Like I said, our Cody's been so involved in different things, and we're so proud of him. He coached soccer for a couple years with the kids, and but it's just cool to see his transformation from us worrying about losing him because of depression, because of alcoholism.
I took a big loss. You lost a son.
Yeah,
it affected him too.
Yeah, it did, and he did, right? It's and Cody, it's. I was just thinking, right, and I made a post a while back. Cody opened Friday night at the Hancock County Fair. It's pretty big,
Yeah,
and he's in, and it was some of our friends were there, and they're like, man, I hadn't heard Cody in a while, but he sounds good. He said a few months ago I wouldn't have said he sounded so good, but he said he's practicing. It sounds good. But yeah, Cody took a hit. It was amazing. I was trying to think about it. He lost grandpa. He lost his girlfriend. He lost his mentor at work. He lost Cayce. And then he lost his Uncle Timmy, all within 2 years. And we was worried about losing him because it was just such a dark. He would go to work, go home, drink, go home, and just that cycle of
what is there to live for?
Depression, right? And he made it, right? He made it.
Yeah.
I made a post the other day about I was so proud of him, a proud dad moment. It was because people say it's too hard. It's not fair. I can't do this. But this man right here did that. And he's lived it. And there's no reason you can't do it either.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you think on his, and I'm just outside the box. I mean, you lose that many people.
Oh gosh.
The world changed.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the world completely changes around. Like, that was my first experience with Eddie being my roommate. He had a irregular heart and he lost his breath and the ambulance was 45 minutes late. So I was putting ice over his head. And then I remember putting him on, I remember when the ambulance pulled up, I put him on the stretcher. And then I remember going to the back of going to the hospital in that bed where they cut you and they do the emergency CPR.
Wow.
I'm just holding his bloody hand.
Right.
And I mean, that just changed it. That changed me.
Yeah.
I didn't eat for 5 days.
Right.
Just because but he was the same one I told you bought me a motorcycle.
Right.
We were going to build land, buy a bunch of land and build 2 houses on it. When he got married, he stopped his wedding for 30 minutes because I was late.
Oh gosh.
I was like, no way. And he's like,
Dude.
but his wife at the time was like, are you serious? It's like, but we did everything together.
Right.
And I mean, I knew Eddie was a brother to me. And
Right.
I remember like watching everybody around us. I remember watching everybody go in the house, take stuff, take everything.
Right.
They're all material stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm sitting out there like on the back of the car, just going, like,
right.
What is this life?
Right.
And then it's like, well, can I get that pistol?
Right.
Are you going to use that? Are you going to use that tool section?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like these family members come out of the woodworks that I'd never seen because I lived with him for a decade.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I never seen him. But the thing is I guarantee you felt that. Cody felt that because everybody's like,
right.
Well, does Cayce can I get Casey's fishing poles?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we just that Hummer that it's on the in the driveway. That's Doug Borey's Dynamic Outdoors, the hunter.
Okay.
He was like a second dad to me. That's his Hummer. We lost Mr. Doug 2 years ago from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Just had a pain, and we just But I did the slideshow. Me and DJ have been like brothers.
Right.
But the same thing. It's like Mr. Doug passed, and he had, I mean, everything.
Right.
All these awards. People would call and be like, "Hey, you mind if I get that mount?"
Wow.
No.
Right.
No, you can't have that mount.
Right.
Like, no. Why would you even ask?
Yeah, it's amazing how things do happen, right? And it's
material stuff really gets to me.
Yeah, it does.
Right? That's how I'll pray for Cody on that because he's sitting around going, but now he knows he's watched this happen, and now he knows there. You see the true people when somebody dies.
Yes. Oh yeah, you do, and it's amazing, the things that have happened, right, in our lives, right? But I do a boys retreat. We have a plug this, right? November 8th through 10th, we have a young men's retreat, 9th through 12th grade at Sacred Heart Dido Church, and it's for boys 9th through 12th grade. It's a Catholic quasi retreat for young men. I tell people we got kids kicking and screaming. Their parents dragging them in on Friday night, and they have to drag them out on Sunday because they don't want to leave, right? Yeah. But it's amazing retreat because we have 12 guys on our team, and we each of us have talks that we give, different themes, and the Father's meditation is always on Saturday night, and it's always the big talk because it's so personal and so deep about your life and what you're going through. JC's doing his talk this year. I did my talk for 2 years, quite honestly. But it's the young men can see us as people, and I wrote this quote down because we have our retreat meetings on Sundays. And one of the guys says, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Wow. Every saint has a past. Every one of us have a past, but every sinner has a future, right? Amen. And it is amazing, right? And the journeys I've been on in life, it's like everybody else, right? But God has always been there. God has always been, I'm not a holy roly Christian, but I believe my faith. I walk in my faith, and we are blessed by our faith. And it's just been so amazing without you even, I mean, all through life, you know, God has blessed me and my family. And God says he will bless our children's and children's if we only believe, right? And just to do the right things, right? Do the right things when people aren't watching. That's always a big thing, right? You don't know who you're impacting when you do something, when you're not doing it for the glory of your glory. You're doing it behind the scenes. And we do things, right? And I'll tell people, don't tell anybody I did this. I don't want credit, right? But it was amazing. I had 2 stories I tell about this. I was coming from work one day on my bike, and I saw off in the distance a car broke down, a couple in a parking lot. They was there for 2 days, right? So my grandson wanted to go get McDonald's. So we come through McDonald's, and that couple's still over there 2 days, 3 days, right? So I got him some food, right? Bought him some food, and my grandson Easton said, "Papa, what you doing?" I said, "There's people over there. They're probably hungry. I'm gonna buy them some food." And so we got him something. And I don't tell the story to say, look what I did, right? But Easton had his French fries. And so the guy walked up. I said, "Here, sir, some food for you and your wife." And he said, "Oh, thank you, thank you." And Easton said, "And you can have my French fries too, sir." And the guy said, no, son, that's okay. He said, "But no, please take them. You can have them." Right? And I'm thinking, kids learn from watching what we do, not what we say. Right? And I was so proud of, he learned that, right? He learned that from watching, not from being told, right? And I emulated it from that Mean Joe Green commercial, right? I only remember that Coke commercial, right? Well, back to us old guys, right?
What was this?
Mean Joe Green
Yeah.
was a big football player for Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
And his kid had a Coca-Cola. It was a Coca-Cola commercial. And Mean Joe Green was walking down a tunnel after a game and had his jersey over his shirt over his shoulder. And the kid says, "Here, Mr. Green, you can have my Coke." And the big guy turned around and he took the Coke and he turned around and then he threw his jersey to the kid, right? So it was like, back in return, but I thought about that commercial because, my grandson was doing it out of his heart, right? "Here, you can have this. No, here, you can really have my French fries." He was 11 years old, right? How proud of I am of that.
Yeah, you're leading by example.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing I have this little thing I do, and it's not another brag about this. This is my give back when it comes to, so if I'm at like a gas station or grocery store or Dollar General and a person checks out, but they have to put back an item, I'll buy their items.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like a mom. Right. I had this one mom, and we're at Cedar Lake, and I had this one mom, young girl, and she had essentials. It wasn't like she was buying everything nice, right. And it's just like, get them, right. Put it all on mine. The lady goes, "Are you sure?" I'm like, she sees me all the time. I'm like, yeah, right. Just go ahead. But when I see somebody like that, when that person has to put back that cereal. Oh yeah, just put it on mine.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I've been there, Mom. We're young. I've been there. I mean, we were on Wix for a little while. We was
on food stamps before, and we all struggled in life, right?
Yeah.
And there's no sin against paying it forward, right? And
we always used to teach our kids about sharing. Kids get presents, they get toys, they build up. You got a closet full, they're not using it. So then we decide we're going to let them help us, and we're going to give those toys they don't play with to the poor people, and they get into it, picking them out, and you'll be amazed. They'll take some of their new toys,
right?
It just teaches them about the giving like that, and it's stuck with them as well.
Yeah. So and I didn't. So I'm just looking at my note on my phone here, but so Robert Ingersoll's poker run, and all the proceeds goes to a Christmas party for the kids in the surrounding area in Lakeshore. So Robert and Sheila Ingersoll, her parents, actually started a foundation, and on December 14th, they buy truckloads of toys, and have this community center full of toys, and people line up for hours to get in there to get their children's toys with Santa. And it's just
gonna be big this year.
It's just amazing, right? It's and they're paying too. They lost their son, right? But from their pain, they're giving back, right? They're making something good out of a loss. As kids, my daddy would take us to the bar room. There's a little bar room down on Lakeshore Road, Chink and Roos. And back when I was a kid, long time ago. And I remember at Christmas time to have a Christmas party in Santa Claus, and you get a little brown bag with a little piece of fruit and a piece of candy. That was Christmas. I remember that as a kid for some reason, but I look at Robert and Sheila doing that, or Randy and Sheila doing that. They're giving back to the community. There's kids in there that might not have Christmas, right? And they're coming in there getting a Christmas present. It's wrapped, right? So they can't open it. They have to take it home. And they have hot chocolates, they have slides, they have different games, face paint. They have, it's just an amazing community event that came out of grief. They came out of anguish.
Yeah.
Right. And I think those are the victories, right? Our son Cayce, out of the anguish, out of the hurt, there's been so many blessings, so many stories, so many positive things that people's done. The fishing tournament, we have a soccer scholarships at Pearl River. We have a lineman scholarships at Pearl River. We also have a lineman scholarship at Mississippi Gulf Coast. We want parents, the children, to be able to go to school, learn how to do things safely, so that they can have a great career. And parents, no parent gets the call that we got from a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. So out of our grief has become things we're giving back. And it's just, our mantras, live like Cayce did, LLCD. And, he gave back, and we talk about Cayce and we talk about Cody giving, right? And people say, well, Cody and Cayce are good because he had to have good parents. I said, wait a minute. I said, have you ever heard the same parents raise drug addicts, doctors, and lawyers? People have a choice with what they do. We give our children foundations to build on. We build their foundation, and what they do with that foundation is on them, right? If your kids do right, it's on them for doing right. We don't make them do right. We give them a foundation to build off of, and they choose what direction they go, right? Some of them go left, some of them go right, some of them do the right things, some of them don't do the right things. But from that foundation that we laid for them, they choose what life they live. And both my boys have exceeded my expectations on life and giving back and being just good human beings.
How long did it take you when you got? How long did it take you to be able to get back to work? Because you're a big part of the community. How long did it take you to get out of bed? What was that like?
I'm a person that I wake up and run 100 miles an hour until I go to sleep, because I don't like to slow down. I don't like to think. I don't like to sit around.
You don't want to be in your head.
I don't want to be in my head.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't. So we were off. It's surreal. I was at work when I got the call. Michelle kept calling, and they finally called me on the radio, and she said, Cayce's been in an accident. They got sending a guy from Energy. We got to go. Right. And I'm like, okay. So on my way, I called the mayor. I said, see if we can get Cayce's been in an accident. They said we need to get to New Orleans as soon as possible. We need to get a police escort if possible. So called the mayor and I said, hey, can we get highway patrol? See if we can get highway patrol when, I said something bad happened, and wind up our chief of police, Ponche, got us to the hospital. And I work at a chemical plant. I work in industry, and I've done safety meetings. Showed pictures of people that's been electrocuted, of the damage that can be done to their body. And as we was driving, I was telling, Cassie and Michelle, I said, he could be damaged. He could be burned up. He could be anything but himself. Right. I said, and I was kind of just preparing him. Right. We got there. He had one little mark on his arm. That was it. He never woke up. But he was whole, and we had hope, we had hope for 3 days. They did everything that was wonderful, but we got to spend that time that other people don't, right? We've had 4, 5 families, that have lost children since Cayce, right? They didn't get that time. Our kid was still breathing. He was still living for 3 days that we could talk to him, hold his hand. My friends didn't. Your child's dead, right? That's a blessing, right? And I tell people that. They say, how can you? I said, it is, because we had hope, remember Dr. Fox, she came in and told us, that's no hope, And I'll tell a story, about out of this, right? Even in this tragedy, they were doing a brain scan on Cayce, and everybody was, I don't know, they're milling around. And I was in the waiting room waiting for the doctor to come in. And there was a husband and wife sitting there. And it was a little room just like this. And the wife says, but we got to let him come home. He's our son. We got to love him. And the dad says, he's never coming to our house again. He's stolen from us. He's hurt us. He's lied to us. If he comes home, I'm leaving. He's never coming home again to our house. And Mama said, but he's our son. We have to love him. And they were back and forth. And the doctor come in and said, Mr. Seal, I'm sorry, but there's no activity. Casey's been declared brain dead. And I said, okay. And I looked at the mother and father and said, what is your son's name? I said, our son's name is Brody. That's what I tell you what, I just learned my son is in heaven, but your son needs prayers. And I will tell everyone I know to pray for Brody, because Brody needs help and he can recover. He was addicted. I don't know what happened to Brody. I don't know where he's at to this day. Don't know his name. Don't know nothing. But in my time of grief, God enabled me to talk to this family about love, about God, about prayers. And I gave this talk at 34 days after Cayce passed, Pearl River banquet, sports banquet. I told that story about Brody because it's not always about us, right? It's not always about our grief. There's people our son's in heaven. Their son's still on earth going through hell. They're going through hell because of it, right? They need the prayers. My son's in heaven, and it was just amazing time to minister to that family. And it was a blessing, right? And I told a story not to say, look what I did, but it's to say, look what you can do with your faith. People say, how do y'all walk your faith every day? Without faith, we have nothing. Without God, we have nothing. That's how we get through day by day. We cry every day, right? I won't lie, but it's just, I miss you. I've never asked God why one time. Never did I say, God, why did you take my Cayce?
So you didn't go in a full argument with
God?
No,
did not.
God, it's common. I mean, people do though.
People do, but why? Why do I question God? It's God's will. If I believe in God's will, I live in God's will, right? God gave me Cayce for 28 years, 6 months, and 12 days. He gave me that gift. My Cayce was a gift. And, we have a beautiful church, OLG, but the weekend Cayce service, July 1st, was our Crab Fest. And we had all the rides and everything set up all around. So we couldn't have Cayce service at OLG. We had to go to St. Clair Church, which was a blessing because they had all this room for all these trucks and all these people. It was amazing. And Father Jacob there, it was wonderful. And our priest, Father Mike, was there, Father Braxton. But Father Jacob had told his congregation a couple of weeks after Cayce's service, he said, Cayce Seal was a prophet on earth. His work was done, and God called him home. How much higher calling can be said about my son than by a Catholic priest?
And plus, the scholarships.
Yeah.
I mean, like Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone. Just
kids' lives are being changed.
Yes. Yeah, it was crazy. But it's just been an amazing story, and I got stories about, Cayce's, people had, left on Facebook, but it's all about giving back. It's about caring. It's about how you touch people. There's a little girl story. It's amazing just how the little ones, touch your life.
There's a lot of crying on this show.
Yeah, no, it was cool, right? This was a girl, a lady that, our kids grew up together, and she said, Michelle and Doug, today I was doing centers in 2nd grade. I told the little girl I liked her necklace. She said, whispering as if it was not to give away a secret, Miss Shannon, it's not a necklace. Look, it opens so you can put pictures in it. She showed me the inside. The locket was empty. I asked her if she was planning to put pictures in it. She said she was. She begins to tell me that she's going to put a picture of Mr. Cayce. It is in it because he is her friend's stepdad, and he coached him in soccer when she was little. She said she loved him and wanted to always remember him by putting his picture inside her heart locket. It was such a sweet moment. I thought you'd like to know a teeny tiny little 2nd grader loved your son. I mean, who do you how do you impact people's,
I mean,
it's cool, right?
Well, I mean, you got the strength to read these, so.
But but him and Cody are the same cloth, right? They give back, they're given to the community, and I tell people, we have no idea how or why Cayce impacted people. That's the only why question I had to have the people. Why Cayce or how Cayce, right? There was over 2,000 people at his funeral. There's never been a funeral like it in Hancock County. Why? For Cayce. We had grown men come into this casket. And if somebody out there knows the company that has Brothers Keeper on their uniforms, please let me know. I want to get a patch. But they have Brothers Keepers on their uniforms, their work uniforms. And they were tearing those Brothers Keepers patches off and throwing them in his casket. And they were crying.
Linemen?
Yeah, linemen. And it was just, why Cayce, right? And it was just so many people showed up, right? His friend made his casket. His dad's friend made his casket down at his house in Ansley, Jason. It was like, Jason reached out. He said, Mr. Doug, Cayce helped me make somebody's casket. He said, if he asked me if I ever passed away, would I make his casket? I'm like, sure. Had over 300 people come sign the inside of his casket as it was being built, just to show their love, So it was all handmade. Jason and built the casket. Some of the ladies in Lakeshore sewed the inside liners. We had a lineman cross inside of it with Proverbs 3:16, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not onto your understanding, acknowledge him in all ways, and he shall direct your path, was inside it. It was just beautiful, but it was done with love by the community that just showed up, right? It was amazing time. And, as time goes on, it was amazing. I'm not very tech savvy, so I was looking in Messenger the other day, and I scrolled down and there was a whole folder of messages from 2021. I guess if I wasn't friends with them, they put them in a folder, right?
Yeah.
So I never saw them. So I started opening them up, and it was just random people I didn't know saying, we're sorry.
You're right.
We're praying for you.
You're on your exercise bike, or you're when you're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just amazing. Right. But it's not about that. Right. It's really about the big picture of humanity. Right. If we all treated each other like Cayce treated each person, if we all lived like Cayce each day, we all didn't take, we all gave back more than we took. Just think how the world would be, right? My son Cody gives back, right? How would the world be if we all gave more than we took? More than if we loved others, right?
Amazing.
And so we just I try to live that every day, right? We try to be the best people we are.
But it does take time for people to, I've seen that from our volunteers and people that, we started other charities under us, and getting stories from people. But I'll see I would say take a step, take it small. Like, there's a book called Atomic Habits, change 1% of your life every day.
Oh yeah.
So I always say, if you want to get involved in the community, first off, so for me, go find a local community.
Yeah.
Because you find it where you live, find in your community, and just say, hey, you see a volunteer person running it, how can I help?
Right.
Start there first.
Yeah.
I would do that over starting your own.
Oh yeah.
And I'm telling you, and then you can get into that. And then when people work together, and once they get it, that's all. Look, we've had so many people, Gina and John Lacoste, they're from New Orleans. Now they live here on the river. And John, she's retired from the government, and John still works for Stronghold Metals, Industrial Metals. I met them at Chandelier. They seen what we're doing with the run, and they went, we want to help.
Right.
And then now they got 50 friends, because one of her best friends had cancer. They got 50 of their friends that dress up every year.
Right.
But now they're a part of the board, and it just took that one.
Right.
They just said, I want to help.
One person step
What can
out.
I do?
Yep.
Now John makes all the trophies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fully committed, and it's because they see change that they see change.
Right.
And I think that's the most powerful thing is, and I love it too. Shannon Pot Brothers.
Yeah.
She goes, Jordan. She goes, I always get her out to donate some money for the popsicles. She goes, so all the money's going to our hospital. Just we want to help too.
Right.
And it's boom.
Oh yeah.
But do it in your own community.
Right. Yes.
Where you live is where you need to spend your time and help and be that role model.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of leads into this. I had constituent of mine, Uncle Ed, I call him Uncle Ed Prados. He called and he said, Doug, after Katrina, we had so many people come in and help us, right? I mean, my house was still standing, had 14 foot of water through it, up through the second floor to the windows. We had nothing, right? A lot of people's houses were washed away, but we had so many volunteers come in and help us, right? And Ed said, we have to give back. We got the storms in North Carolina, we got storms in Florida. What can we do from Bay St. Louis to show appreciation for what the people did for us, right? So, and I tell people, by the grace of God and volunteers, we are here with today because of what they've done for us, right? And so we did. Last night we had a city council meeting, and I asked the mayor, I said, do we have something, or we're trying to organize a drive to get stuff to, bring down to Florida or North Carolina. So we do have something on our city website, and I could talk to Uncle Ed today. I said, we really need to get the word out that we're going to have a drive. We're going to take food, water, whatever, perishables, non-perishables. We'll bring them to the fire station on Main Street in Bay St. Louis. We'll load the truck up and we'll take off with it, right? We'll get a point of contact where some services down, whether it's Florida, probably most like Florida, since there's getting hit again, right? Just take a load of water and food or whatever we can down there, just to say thank you, for what the people done for us. And
good clothes.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
Anything.
So, but yeah, so we're talking about, like Brett, starting your local community, right? So we want to put this out there, and I'll blast out on Facebook tomorrow. Hey, bring all your donations to the fire department Bay St. Louis. We'll organize them. We got to rent trucks, the U-Hauls or big trucks or whatever to get them down there. Let's try to get some goods and supplies together, get this drive going, and so we can make an impact and give back for what people have given to us over time.
And
maybe one of our local trucking companies would donate the use of an 18.
Yeah, that's what Ed said. Try to maybe get somebody, a local company, or even a military. Stennis has big trucks.
Yeah.
Try to get somebody, that, because I told him, I said, well, heck, we could hook up some trailers and take our trucks and go if we have to. But like I said, if you can find a local trucking company.
How about some linemen? They can hook up the back of a trailer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's like that, giving back into your community is really where it's at. And, we've always been proponents, and doing for your local community and trying to make it better. And
my big thing, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
But my big thing is local. The reason I say local, now you can go do volunteer other places, but I think if more people where you live, just common sense. But I think if you just help your community, and everybody help their communities, right? They can all get together.
Oh yeah,
because there's not like, I mean, I'm proud of to see these local charities come out and just help, but there's so many big corporate charities that are, I'm not going to name, but there's corporate charities that got a CEO that make $2 million.
Right. Yeah. But no,
don't help them.
Yeah, it's important to me, to keep it local, to stay local, and I always try to help your fellow man no matter what.
But we're talking about charities and giving it to the community. I'm real interested. You've been on the city council since 2000.
July 5th, 2000. I took office.
That's an amazing period of time.
Yes,
but that's another way of giving back to the community.
It has been an amazing journey. We talked July 5th, 2000, got elected. August 29th, 2005, we had Katrina. We had the little bit of recession in 2008. We had an oil spill in 2010. So now we're growing. Bay St. Louis is thriving. We've done a lot of good foundation work. You got to build a good foundation before you build a good house or build a good structure, right? So for the last 20 years, we've been building a good foundation in Bay St. Louis, and now we're rising up. We're growing. We're trying to maintain the good atmosphere, right? We'll continue to monitor the atmosphere and try to ensure we have keep people having fun, doing the right things. But yeah, it has been an amazing journey. I loved it. I love what I do. I am a digger. I'm a data man. I'm a fact man, right? I've done so many different projects on my own to make things better. I've argued on the phone with DC with the engineers at FEMA about filling in dirt, flood elevations. I was very knowledgeable about flood elevation, National Flood Insurance Program. Dr. Susan Reich with the Army Corps of Engineers, right? They come in, they putting the seawalls in, they're doing all kind of things. Put out this big manual. I read it. I wrote a rebuttal to some of the stuff they wanted to do on my own, right? Because it's the right thing to do, right? Any major project we've done in the city, I've always dug in to make sure we're doing the right things, right? I've always said I can't tell a councilman how to vote, but I can help give them the information to vote right. And I've always prided myself on facts and figures and information, right? Last night we was talking about doing a revitalization to older slum buildings or blighted properties, right, to SMPD. And, we had a program. They built a Pearl Hotel downtown Bay St. Louis through MDA. There's a tax incentive thing that they do, right? If you build a $15 million project or better, then you get you get your sales tax rebate till you get 30% of the value back, right? Well, people's like, well, you gave the sales tax away. Yeah. So I did a little calculations, right? I got a spreadsheet, right? So if there was $161 a night room, they got 60% occupancy rate, something like $42,000 in taxes a year, right? We get. Well, on the flip side, that $15 million is worth $49,000 in ad valorem tax, property tax, right? So if they didn't build it, I wouldn't get the property tax. And in a few years, I'm going to get the property tax and the sales tax, right?
Plus the restaurant.
Right?
Yeah, plus, and it looks good.
Right. So it's a balance, right? Oh, you gave it away. Well, no, I didn't give it away. I did my homework, right? And I'm getting $49,000 a year off of a vacant lot, right?
Think about the fact and how many businesses came to build around that.
Yes. So it's economic development, right? And so you got to do your homework. The harbor, $22 million harbor, right? When they first presented that to me, I'm like, why? Look at all the empty harbors all around the Gulf Coast, right? I mean, they're half of them's half empty, right? So what are we going to do? How are we going to pay for it? How's it going to sustain itself? How's it going to be worthy of, building something Bay St. Louis? The more I studied, Mr. Harry Chapman, we actually got on his pontoon boat and went doing soundings out. There's a natural channel, 208 feet wide, 600 feet all the way out to the main channel. It's a natural channel. And so the more we looked at it, the more I convinced myself there's no other place that you can walk off your boat and walk into a restaurant, a downtown area.
I've experienced it. Brandon Atwell, he bought that building, Murky Waters, and he bought that boat from that guy too, the harbor. Yeah. And I remember we were at Murky Waters. We did a podcast there, but me and him were sitting there, and he goes, "Do you want to see my boat?" And I was like, "Sure." We hopped on his golf cart. We went down to the harbor, and where the harbor is, they had that train, right? And we just sit on the back of his boat, and that train just comes by. And it's one of the most beautiful. Yeah. And we're not doing anything but sitting on the back of the boat and just taking in the fact that watching that train go by.
Right.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and you don't. And so after studying and researching and realizing this is a hook, this is an economic development hook that we could use, right? And some people says it had no detriment, it had no adverse, it didn't help Bay St. Louis redevelop. It would have redeveloped anyway. Other people said it's a great thing that you did the harbor because it helped redevelop, right? You can't. The naysayers will always be naysayers. The people that thinks it's a good idea.
Well, I make my contribution every time my friend Bob and I go fishing. We're the kind we're there when the sun comes up, and by 10 we're getting ready to come in. We come in. We always come into Bay St. Louis, get on the harbor, go up and eat right before we leave. Yeah, and then go.
It's amazing, right? We got a day pier inside the harbor you can tie up to. We had extended that day pier all the way down almost to the mouth of the harbor,
right?
And it stays full. So now we're looking at putting a day pier on the outside the harbor on the other wall. Oh, okay. For more people, we're doing some beach improvements down there now.
But it brings in revenue.
It generates revenue, right? So, talking about revenue, right? Cities, and again, in government, we don't do a very good job of communicating where our resources go, where we get money, where our finances come from, how we spend it, right? People don't realize that the city of Bay St. Louis has property insurance just like your home does, right? It's kind of a funny story of we have a big community hall downtown on Blaze in the Depot District, and the Rotary built it for us, right? And it was someone had made a comment, man, y'all make a fortune off that building, I bet, because y'all don't have any overhead on it, right? And I'm like, well, my insurance on that building is $83,000 a year. My light bill is $2,200 a month. Just with those two costs, I lose almost $40,000 a year on what revenue it generates. Just on those two costs. It's not a maintenance. It's not anything else. Just on electricity and insurance, I lose $40,000 a year for revenue I take in on that building.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, but people don't, oh, I didn't realize that. Well, I have insurance on my buildings too, right? I don't know, $500,000 or so property insurance, you know, and as your insurance goes up, guess what? So does the city's, right? Yep. And my revenues sometimes don't outpace it. 2005 casino revenue was $3 million.
It's only going to get worse. I own an insurance. We have an insurance office. Oliver's got insurance. And the other day I had to do one of them houses over there past Christian, the flood. And I got a Neptune flood out, but couldn't bind it. And then I went to Right Flood, which is FEMA, and they said re-rating.
Right.
You know what that means? Like,
nope.
Storms are coming, and they're holding off because there's going to be another number coming. And I'd always tell the story about this mom that she has dementia, and her house $200,000, and she flood insurance. Yeah, her house $200,000 pay for her house, school teacher, 13 check. Son's 35 years old, has to take care of his mom. Right. And I did the flood for him, $6,000 a year. Wow. And I told him, I said, let me give you some advice. Just you and your mom, right? She likes to paint. Sell his house. Right. Because eventually it's going to, if it's that $6,000 5 years from now.
Right. Nobody tell her what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad home, but they're paying more.
And it is going up too. Yeah. We already know.
You know, so on the bigger picture, right? National Flood Insurance Program, right? What's the frustrating part is, right? So Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast, right? Tore up all this stuff, right? FEMA come in there, paid for these houses, right? But from what I understand, they're not required to be part of the National Flood Insurance Program. They should be. North Carolina, if FEMA pays for the properties to get rebuilt, those properties should also be in part of the National Flood Insurance Program. Anytime FEMA comes in and has to rebuild or pay money for flood insurance, flooding, then those houses should also go into the pool. When as your pool grows, therefore your premiums stabilize, right? Right now we just have such a small pool because it's not picking and choosing, but it's not spread across more properties as it should be, right?
Well, what does it cover? Just the Gulf states or what?
It depends. So we're in flood prone area, and after Katrina did a lot of research, right? So Florida, so Gulf Shores, right? When you go on the beach in Gulf Shores and you go out 10 feet, it's up to your chest, right? You can walk out the end of Bay St. Louis and walk for miles, right? So it's shallow. So when you have a surge coming in, like when we had for 26 foot for Katrina, that water has nowhere to go. It's stacking up. Well, Gulf Shores, the water's so deep, the water can't stack up on the shelf. So you don't have that tidal surge like we have in Bay St. Louis. So the Florida coastline, a lot of that, they have insurance, but it's not rated like we are because of the topography of the water. It has to come ashore, right? Like Tampa, they're talking. That water goes up in the Tampa Bay, it can't go nowhere.
Well, that's what happened to ours. You said 26 feet. Yeah. It was 42 at the back where my house was.
Yeah. So it's just the water stacks up, but in the deeper water, that water can roll down. Yeah. So you don't have a tidal surge like we had. Yeah. So that's all part of the FEMA rating system they look at, topography and different things. So it's not a convoluted system. There's some data science behind it. But to me, again, if you have these major storms that come in, people are flooded, the government helps remediate these floods losses, then these people should be part of the program to help maintain the premiums for the National Flood Insurance Program.
So one thing I've just been in about 3 years. I'm never leaving. But when I go in and say I do a quote, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says coastal counties, and it's us.
Yes.
We're different rating, but we also have all this. We have revenue from casinos here that we send up there.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't they people that get our money up there? Why don't they help us take the risk too? Because we bring in revenue.
Right.
I never figure that out. Like why do we have to send a bunch of money up there? But yet when it comes to insurance, you are a different color. Like
right.
It says it will say,
oh yeah,
we'll do service, but not in these counties.
Right.
They do pay in a way in that all of the companies that are selling insurance up there are also having to make contributions back into the wind pool down here.
Okay.
Right.
Not the same level.
Right.
Okay. But there is money that comes from
But it's still it is confusing because it's like, if you come in as a carrier, I think you should service everybody equally in the state of Mississippi.
Right.
I don't like seeing because we're the coastal counties, but we have a lot. We bring a lot more revenue than most places in the state.
Well, I mean, they say south of I-10 brings in all. I don't know what percentage of revenue for the state, but it's a huge percentage.
I'm
of
just saying
it
should be a trade-off.
Yeah.
It'll help us. Like
right.
if we evil out the pool, like you were saying, the pool.
Yeah. The more property you get in the pool, the more your premiums will stabilize. And but it's. You don't want to see anybody go through catastrophic events like this, right? But at some point, no one will be able to afford to live on the coast or have insurance.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to not have wind pool.
Yeah.
To have the option for that, because otherwise there wouldn't be any.
Right.
Well, first off, the banks couldn't loan money because you couldn't get insurance, which means there wouldn't be any business or industry. There wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, it's to the point now. I got a friend of ours, right? His agent called and said, "Hey, your homeowner insurance going to be $4,000 this year." He said, "Drop it. I don't want it." His agent said, "Oh, you can't do that." He said, "I can't own this house." He said, "Give me fire for it. $700 and some a year for fire." Because if your roof blows off, guess what you got to do? You got to come up with $25,000 for your roof, right? So 3 years, put that money away for 3 years. You roll the dice. You got to put your own roof on anyway. Insurance not going to pay for it. I mean, if your house blows away, right, you're at risk, but you get your roof blown off, you're going to pay for your roof anyway. Insurance is not going to pay for it. So you gamble for 3 or 4 years, put that money away, you're ahead of the game.
But if we're all in that pool together,
it
would be so much easier for us.
But I know a lot of people that are doing just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If they're, first off, it's people that have some resources because they've got a paid for house.
Right. You pay your house paid for.
Which means they probably have some resources that they have to pay later.
Right.
But I know a lot of people that are doing that.
Well, in your life, I mean, I'm 60 years old, my house paid for. But I don't have a fancy house, right? Like a 1,500 square foot house, not in fancy. If my roof blows off, it's what I got 10% deductible or whatever, right? So I got to pay the first $20,000. So what is my insurance doing? Fortunately, my insurance is not very high, but if it did get to the point at $6,000 a year, I'd be like, I'm cutting bait now. I'm gonna just give me fire insurance. I'll take my chances, right? Get my 2% loan from SBA or whatever. If we have
well, that's exactly what people do,
right? Yeah, So, but no, it's amazing. Being in government, I learned. You learn so much, right? I mean, people are not involved. You aren't not required to learn, but you don't learn, right? I'm a gleaner. I like to learn. I like to learn everything I can because the more I know, the better I can make things, the better decisions I can make. So I just love to educate people, right? And I'd say that's one thing that we don't do in government as well as educate people. And the other night I had a meeting about some speeding and stuff, and one of the guys kind of made a comment, "Well, what do y'all do with all your money?" Right? And I'm like, I'm gonna get back with him and show him a breakdown of
spreadsheet,
of where our money goes. Right? He says he's in business, but people don't. They just think, "Oh, you're big government," right? They don't look at your. I think I want to say some number like 80% of our personnel budget is fire and police. Right? Because we don't make, city doesn't make anything. We got fire protection, police protection, we got public works, a building department, right? So
are y'all
the city made up
St.
of?
Louis utilities, or y'all like
no, we have our own utility company.
You're not contracted.
No, we have our own utilities,
and all of your public buildings are tax exempt.
Yeah. So it's it's like you start looking at what your income that you're getting from sales tax, property tax, and ad valorem tax, or casino revenue, and you're looking at your expenses. And every year we, fight to balance our budget, not raising taxes on properties. But always ensuring we're doing the right things. We got $12 million worth of sewer work going on, right, through the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
Well, people don't realize $4 million of that we got to come up with them. And guess what? You don't see improvements.
Is it all at once, or do y'all can do payments?
No, it's as the project is going, right? It's cash flowing in some of these projects. So you can't see sewer work being done until you flush your toilet and it doesn't work, right? It's all underground. It's nothing pretty, nothing fancy, but you got to do it, right? Yeah. We need another water well. Fortunately, again, learning, went to a class. I listened, I took notes, and found out the city of Bay St. Louis could do a grant to get a water well for free. We did the paperwork, $2.6 million water well. We're going to get 100% forgiveness on the loan. I was listening, was taking notes. I talked to the director, called them up, emailed them, and we worked on it. And he's like, yeah, you can apply for this grant. We got it. Just from listening, taking notes, following up, and doing the right things. And that's the cool thing about, things, just making things better, right, on a day-to-day basis.
So you really nerd out on this stuff. Like, you're in it.
I love it.
Yeah, I can tell.
Because I want to say you don't need to leave where you are right there with the city.
Yeah, I do. I love it, right? Because it's, and you got to make hard decisions, right? You're not always popular decisions you make, but I can always tell somebody, I'm always going to make you happy, but I will call you back and I'll tell you what I can and can't do for you, and I'll tell you the facts. And I'm sorry if you're not happy with that, right? And that's all people should expect out of you.
What's the what's the difference if you go from mayor to councilman? Do you have more vote, or how's that work?
No, in most municipalities, it depends on how the systems are set up, right? The city council today is the legislative branch of the government, right? We own the budget, we own the money, right? And we have to approve every expenditure we have to approve, right? And administration or executive branch, right? We say, okay, you got $10 million budget this year, go forth and spend it, right? They do day-to-day activity, run the city, right? And then some cities have weak mayors, strong mayors, city managers. So it just depends.
Cayce city manager, and I lived over there. And
right. So city manager runs, it's a business. The city is and I tell people, city government is a business. I can't give everything away and stay in business. Government's a business, right? I can't give everything away and stay in business. I'm sorry if you want this for free. I'm sorry I can't give everything away, because then everybody wants something for free, right? And I'm a business. I got to pay people. I don't, you get mad and have to raise your taxes because I gave everything away. So but again, if you make informed decisions and you can tell people why you made a decision and show them factually what you were doing, they might not be happy, but they understand what you did and why you did it.
Y'all doing a lot better. A couple of years ago, the first time I've been to Bay, my brother was Bay High, I think 95, 96. So it's a completely different world.
Yeah.
I remember going to Bay St. Louis in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not knocking it, but
no, it was just, it wasn't a dying town.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a thriving town, right?
Yeah, you're like a Bay town.
Yeah, we've been voted one of the most popular, top 5 in the country, small town, beach towns. We've got numerous accolades for, being an arts community, being just a laid back social community. Right. And it's not, people will say on Facebook, oh, it's like a little Bourbon Street. Well, it ain't even close to like a little Bourbon Street. Right. We'll go down there. My wife, I was
going to say more mid city.
Yeah. We'll go sit on the benches and watch people go up and down the street, and we'll talk to people, and we'll go eat. We don't hang out in the bars, but it's not raucous, crazy stuff, right? They got some bars and the bands are loud, but the people are having fun, right? It's a good atmosphere. It's a thriving atmosphere.
I don't find Danby's to be violent. It's Danby's.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah.
Every place has their vibe, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what you want to do and the vibe you want, and you can go upstairs at Rags Riches, you can go to Danby's, you can go to Triple Tails,
yeah,
you can go to Bowie's. Every one of them has a vibe, right? That it depends on what you want to do.
No, my favorite small spot is the Paradise. It's the small one in the
bodegas and Parrot Heads. Yeah,
Parrot Heads.
That's on Carroll Bodegas.
I love that little spot.
It's laid back.
Yeah,
no, it's laid back and cool, and you can hear yourself think.
We did a wedding at that Pastor Shan mansion.
Yep.
And everybody was stayed out super late, and I was having drinks, but I just went to bed early, cleaned up because, we're just, everybody was there. Well, my buddy from Florida came in town with his wife. So we ended up just, you know what, while they're sleeping, let's go downtown.
Yeah.
And we went to Bay St. Louis and we hit almost every one of their small businesses. Right. I mean, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
Everybody we met was friendly, and it was, 11 in the morning.
Right.
And it was just cool to go.
It's a cool vibe. I mean, the second Saturday is a cool vibe to bands and people playing music on the streets. And it's just, we've been blessed the way it's developed over time. And it just didn't happen, right? Zoning laws, regulation, rules, that they're part of the fabric, right? That's the foundation. You put the foundation to build off of, and sometimes you'll have a screw up, but most of the time your foundation is going to be strong and you're going to build the right things. And through rules and regulations and management, we've come up with a pretty good picture. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a picture, right? You go walk from the, me and my wife walk down the harbor and walking back toward the businesses. My wife said, it's kind of like being in Florida or somewhere, right? You got that vibe, you got the blind tiger with all the different color stuff and the business,
y'all are very colorful, artsy.
Yeah, it's artsy, right? So it's just cool, right? And you got your little, solo singers down there, playing the guitar, singing. But
I
it's
went
just
to Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I went to Mockingbird and they had that at the time, it was years ago, probably 10 years ago or more. They had the Nashville. I remember this. They had the Nashville singing competition.
Okay.
Remember that when they had the stage?
Yep.
They had a full bluegrass band.
Oh yeah.
And we were just all sitting in lawn chairs, and I got one of the Mockingbird burgers.
Yeah,
I didn't move because the music was so good.
Yeah.
And they were like these it was a 10-man band. They were
Right.
big cellos, and they were just jamming out. And it brought Nashville to this one parking lot at Mockingbird.
Yeah, closed down the street there.
Nobody was mean. Everybody was just like, "How's it going? Would you be interested?"
Right.
I think I bought one of them. That lady that was making all them blow up glass ornaments.
Right.
I remember buying one from her.
Yeah.
Because she was just selling it and she wasn't pushy. She's like,
right.
I made this. Would you like to purchase it?
Yeah. But no, it's got a really cool vibe, and it's good. Right. And it's enjoyable. Like I said, we'll go down there and we'll hang out and we'll go to different restaurants and eat. And it's just been amazing transformation.
If you did mayor, if you went after mayor, would you have the same kind of power with all your ideas about numbers? Because that's important, right?
It's really to educating people, right? To understanding what you're doing.
You just gotta work harder.
You just work. I mean, it's all the same stuff. I mean, so I work at a chemical plant. I'm in operations, right? So from day-to-day things, that's kind of what my thing is. We got 3 operating teams, and so from day-to-day things come up, and we work on it, right? We get them fixed, right? So. And the mayor of a city is like that. Day-to-day items, you got your department heads, public works and utilities, you got police department, fire department, and they get things done, right? But you help guide as needed, right? You have to be a leader. You have to have a focus. You have to have a direction, right? You got to be the quarterback of a team. Sometimes I tell my guys, right, when
you're the chief executive,
when you run extrusion, you got to be the quarterback
or the president.
Right? You got to be the guy that if there's a decision that needs to be made, you get together in a room, you get your ideas together, and as a group, you make a decision. But once you make a decision, you move forward, right? You keep moving forward. You don't slow down, right? You just keep making a vision, right? And there's, down the road things, if, I chose to do things differently in life, I think the vision, and I tell people, I'm not going to change. No matter what I do in life, I'm not going to change. I'm going to be the same person. I've been the same person for 24 years. I've been in office. I haven't changed. People said, you're a different type of person because politics hasn't corrupted you. You haven't think you're somebody. I'm like, I'm nobody. I'm just an average guy that started.
You beat your own drum.
Wanting to do things. And I don't do a good job of selling myself, right? I just like, dude, this is what we're going to do, right? So it's been amazing ride. I love what I've been doing. I lost my first election, 1999. Guy at work, Big Jimmy, had passed away, and he was councilman at large, right? So I'm like, because I did the sports with my kids, right? Growing up, football, basketball, soccer. I coached, helped out. I was a Cub Scout leader. I did all that. I worked in the soccer board. So I was being part of the community, but I'm like, I'd like to try to give back in a different way. So in 99, I ran and come in third in that election because I was just, not well known. Two other guys, Mr. Billy and Mr. Bill Taylor and Mr. Billy LeBlanc, were older gentlemen, well known in the community, right? So they won first and second. Mr. Bill Taylor
young
won.
buck.
I was a young guy, right?
Yeah.
But then the next year, my seat came up, right? And I run independent. I've always run independent until last election, right? Because I'm, it's just my ward, my area, right? I don't need a party to tell me what to do or people to tell me what to do. And still today we don't, right? But unfortunately, politics today, right? You got to be part of a machine, or you got to be part of a group, right? And like, if you ever decide to be governor of the state of Mississippi, right?
You got to vote too. Me and him are
100 people in my ward. The most we've ever had vote was 600.
Yeah,
most time it's 400.
You said 1,800.
Yeah, most time it's 400, right? And most time it's I
Yeah.
got to get 400 people out in my election for all my, the city based in Louis. 2,700 or 2,200 people voted in the last election total. City based St. Louis.
We've gotten it. It used to be turnout was about a third, which was your 600. Okay. But now it's fading.
Yeah, it is.
And we're seeing pretty regular low 20s.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
Yep.
I think everybody's just damn sick and tired of politics.
Yeah, and I think people are. I mean, you just don't know. I don't know. I think you watch even my local politics. Say you look at, around, from where we live and stuff. I mean, some of these politicians get in office and they get corrupt and, do the wrong things and say the wrong things and they forget why they're there. Right. But if you go in there with a pure heart and want to do the right things for the right motive, right. And do your homework and educate people and just tell them the facts, tell them the truth. Right. That's all I would want somebody to do for me. Right. And that's cool. I mean, I love that. And I've loved what I've been doing. And again, I turned 60 in September, and I've always said that once I could retire from the plant, I could possibly have more political aspirations. So we're moving forward, and I think life will continue to be blessed.
The Williams gave comments. We love downtown Bay St. Louis. It's more of a local vibe than a tourist town.
Yeah. So
so they do Cayce's fishing tournament.
Oh, okay.
So Jesse came on with the bass fishing. I had Joel Davis on. So him and Cayce started fishing together.
Yes. Yeah. Him and Cayce got hooked up bass fishing together, and they got to become big buddies fast, and they traveling buddies. And
I love him.
Cayce.
I love the family.
Cayce, we talked about Uncle Jesse. So my Uncle Jesse remember Jesse's on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah,
right? That's what I was thinking. It must be some old dude, Uncle Jesse, and we blow up and here's Uncle Jesse, right? And Aunt Cherie. But it was cool, right? They found him, and it's crazy, right? And Uncle Jesse probably get mad because I'm gonna read something he wrote. But it was just one of them stories, right? And Cody did a video about Cayce and said I did see the video and it was amazing. Cody did awesome in honoring his brother, and hearing Cayce talk was God sent. I don't know why, other than Cayce sending his vibe down, but I just wanted to do good and make people happy. I'm not perfect, but I want to be blessings to others like he was in any possible way. Your son was really the best person I ever met. I'm not saying that just because he's physically isn't with us anymore, but he really did have that impact on me. And I'm now realizing now that I don't have him to text or call or hang out with. It sucks, but at the same time, it makes me realize a lot more. It may seem like I'm babbling, but y'all don't know the relationship Cayce and I had. I don't mean that in an ugly way, but he was my boy. If that makes sense, I love y'all. Yeah, so him and Cayce, they were partners. I mean, they were traveling hard as their road dogs, and Jesse told stories about Cayce sleeping in the trailer, the boat falling off the trailer, and they're throwing in the beer cans into the fire and blowing up, and and I mean, Cayce, and they would send us videos of them cutting up, dancing, and they always had a Christmas party at Cayce at Uncle Jesse's house, and they would cut up and just have fun, so they really made a lot of fast memories in a short time in life.
Yeah, and I was like, when you meet it, so I haven't met Jesse's wife yet. I've talked to her on the phone because I do their insurance, but I was sitting at Captain Al's with Jesse, and when you just feel somebody's energy, and it was he was just talking about this fishing tournament for his friend that passed away, and it's like that's when you have a person like that. It's like I'm gonna take the thing that I shared with him, and we're gonna do do something about it. And that was the same. That's how he grieved.
Yeah.
And then you're a big part of it, and it's just cool though. It's like that's Jesse can be taking vacations, putting on events, but when I had him on the show, you can just he got me 2 shirts, and one's for me. I ain't getting rid of it, but Greg Moore from Canal, he's a sponsor too.
Okay.
Canal Wine and Spirits, or Spirits and Wine. I'm going to say it backwards or forward. Right. But in high proof, they named off a bunch of sponsors. But I gave Greg y'all's other shirt,
right?
And he was like lit up.
Yeah, it's
mine. Can I have this?
Right. Yeah. No, it's amazing, right? And it is the energy in Uncle Jesse, and they've done a great job of continuing to promote this. And I feel bad. The first year, first couple of years they just took over, right? And this year, they're like, all right, we need to have a meeting so we can kind of divvy up and get more help on this. And this year has really been a struggle for me and my wife. And somebody told us year 3 is a bad year, and I don't know why. So we've struggled, and we met with them the other night and we talked about it, and I feel bad that haven't did more for the fishing tournament, but it's a struggle.
Can't force yourself right now if you're feeling a certain way.
Yeah, and we're going, and we're getting things done, right? And it's just clawing our way through, and we're gonna make it. I mean, we just have no doubt it's our faith, right? God is, I have unfortunately the group of dads that their kids passed away, right? I text them every once in a while. I have a morning devotional, and the other morning I had a devotional, about friendship and love, and I took a picture of it and sent it to them, and I pray for them every night. And some of these friends have lost their children from suicide. And their pain, I don't know what their pain like.
Bulliness in school, or just
different things, but my pain is nothing like their pain. My pain is nothing compared to their pain. And I pray for them for that. My Cayce, he was almost like a hero coming home. I mean, he had over 100 cars in his trucks and cars in his possession, bringing them home. Right. And Zeke was talking about, there was fire trucks, there's police cars, there was lineman trucks for my knucklehead kid. Right. Why? Right. Some of these fathers are grieving. Sons took their own lives, or daughters. Right. They have that why question. I don't. Right. It's a different feeling. And me and my wife say that, right? We don't understand their grief. It's so much. I can't understand their grief. Right. We have grief, but theirs is just so much more. Right. It's a young man that not recently, he took his life, and I grieve for his mom and dad. Right. Because it was their son. He had so much to live for, and I pray for at night. I pray for at this moment, God, if someone's thinking about killing themselves, have someone call them, have someone text them, have someone let them know that they love them. Because once you do that, once you take that step, you destroy your family. You destroy your family when you do that. You think you're doing the best you can, but once you do that, you're destroying your family, and the hurt is just, again, it's unbearable, right? Yeah. Because I couldn't save my son. Yeah. Right, or my daughter.
They say that
right,
suicide is an act of aggression.
Yeah,
against somebody, against the family,
right,
or something.
It's just it's unbearable hurt and guilt, right? And it's just, and I pray for those, and I reach out to them, but then how can I not be blessed with my Cayce, right? How can I be blessed with my Cody doing so great? I look at the blessings God's given me, right? I cry, but I am blessed, man. I am. God is negativity. God has amped us up, and I tell the story. It's God has put me on fire even more to talk about God since Cayce's passing, and as I become retirement age, I'm involved in the church, and I want to become a deacon in the Catholic Church. I said, I'm either become a deacon or I'm further my political career. And so my wife, we've been praying about it. And so I went to a diaconate program, little seminar they had, and I didn't realize it's 4.5-year program, dude. It's hardcore, right? And your wife has to be involved in all of it, right? She has to be bought in. She's got to go to classes and stuff. So went home and told Michelle, she said, I think you're going to do something different. I'm not going to become a deacon's wife, right? And but I realized there's other ministries, right? And there's other avenues that we can
doing
serve.
it right now in the community.
Yeah. So it's been a blessing, and it's been an amazing journey, right? I mean, and everything, and as I did my father's meditation talk at my retreat, I kind of chronicled my life about things I went through. And I think, God, now I know why I went through that, because you was teaching me empathy for others. Just the situation in my life. God, now I know why I went through that, because you showed me something for others. So each step of my life, I realized God was forming me to be what I am today, to give him glory through things I went through in life, to walk the walk of faith, and not say I have faith, but to actually walk through faith with God. And that has been an amazing blessing for me and my family.
Well, I mean, and one thing I would say is, I mean, through this tournament, through the things you're doing, you're keeping them alive.
Yeah.
And that's key, is when you forget about that person.
Yeah. We, last Friday night was to have an annual soccer game for Cayce Seal Memorial soccer game. All the proceeds go to the scholarship fund. We walked up to the field. They got his number 36 painted on the field, got his name halfway across the field, Cayce Seal.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Had a little tear in my eye, right? Because wasn't expecting it, right?
But, Cayce has given you a gift.
Yeah.
By his life.
Yeah. It was God, like I said, 28 years, 6 months and 12 days, God gave us a gift of Cayce and called him home because his work was done, right? We have his son, Declan's 5 years old, right? Just like his daddy, right? He's just amazing. God knows what he's doing, right? We might look back and say, oh yeah, yeah, got Aniston, was his little stepdaughter, that he just loved. And it just, God put us together in life for a reason, right? Nothing happens by chance. Today, I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so I was going in late. So stopped at a little local store to get gas on my motorcycle. And this guy come pulling up on one of those e-bikes, and said, fill her up, So we started talking, and I don't know how we got on it. And he said he was retired. I said, what would you retire from? He said, well, I was a lineman. I said, you were? He said, yeah, I was a lineman for energy. I said, that's pretty neat. And I told him Cayce's story. He said, yeah, I heard about him. Right. So was that a happen chance that I needed gas and stopped at that gas station? That man come pulled up at the same time and we started talking. Gilbert,
It's an act.
It was an act. It was, I believe in that is real, right?
I believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do. I rarely go to church, but I pray every night, and I always believe that God wants you to help others.
Oh gosh.
And not talk about it.
No.
I don't want to go, I grew up in the church, but I don't, for me, just because I go to church on Sunday, it doesn't click for me.
Mm-mm.
It's still like a late night fumes. I was just saying that to you. I was like, I'm exhausted, but I believe God's pushing me through, the end of this month, for just like he's giving me that extra strength to go, hey, you got this.
Right.
Because when I look at another person, it's like, I remember when I met a lady, I paid for her teeth. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know chemo took your teeth.
Right. Wow.
And she wrote a letter and I sent it to the hospital, and it was just like, that's it.
Right.
And I went back and called John. I'm like, dude, we just bought somebody teeth.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you don't know what good you're doing.
Yeah, but I never knew that I'd run into that person.
No,
that was like Memorial Foundation just paid for my teeth, and I'm like,
yeah, it's got, there's no mistakes, there's no happenstance, there's no luck.
want my son. I just want my son Oliver to go, and he goes to every one of our events. We're pretty much a knit family too,
Right.
And but I want my son to say, well, my dad stood for this, my dad fought for this. Yeah. You know, my dad helped people,
right?
And that's what I want. I don't want to be like, my dad just bought me these things.
Yeah, that's a legacy, right?
Yeah,
and it's a legacy you want to leave. Like my grandson, right? Here, take my French fries. No, really.
Yeah, no, that's
11-year-old kid giving his French fries up, right, to a dude, to a stranger, because he saw the need, right? And just, you know, it's just amazing. I like that, you know, Declan again is, you know, the grandson. He's full of life, full of energy. You know, and Cayce, you know, Cayce had bought an engagement ring to give to Cayce the weekend he was buried. It was Crab Fest weekend. Me and Cayce and a group of guys boiled seafood at Crab Fest, and Cayce had bought an engagement ring to give her that weekend that we buried him. But it wasn't God's will. She's recently got married. Jaron's a wonderful man. He loves Declan. He loves Aniston. It's just, I always loved that song, He's Not My Boy. You know, that country song, He's Not My Boy.
Yeah.
I'm living that, right? And to have that blessing, right? People are like, how can y'all do that? How can we not do that, right? Cayce passed away. God took Cayce. They didn't get a divorce. They didn't get in a fight, right? We love them, you know. They have a son, Hutton, right? And he loves us, me and Papa, right? Just like Declan and Aniston, right? But we're still family, you know. God bless us with Jaron and Cassie and the kids, right? People's like, well, I don't understand y'all. How y'all do that? How do you not do that? How do you not accept God's blessings? Right? It's amazing, right? And again, right? We're sad, we cry, but then we look at the blessings God has given us throughout all this, right? And it's an amazing story. It's an amazing journey that we've been on, and God's, I mean, we're blessed beyond measure.
Well, Mr. Doug, we hit a far mark on tonight's show. No, but we'd love to have you back. You want to send off these? You want to plug this camera? Because I mean, this is what I want. When I told you when you get on, this is what it's about. It's about you. This will be forever capsulized. You're capturing this, or your grandkids are going to go back 20 years from now. I'll have this up always,
right?
And then go back and listen to your stories.
Yeah.
But plug this camera and what events you got coming up, and anything you want to do. And
yep. So first of all, October 19th, Robert Ingersoll annual poker run benefit. All the proceeds go to the December 14th Christmas at the Community Center Lakeshore. Poker run starts at 10 a.m. Broke's Boat, going to end up at 3 o'clock at the Community Center. Last card's in at 3 o'clock. Food, fun, entertainment. Please come out and support that. Randy and Sheila has done a wonderful job of giving back to community out of sorrow and hurt, keeping Robert's memory alive. And what amazing thing we've lost our children, but we're giving back in honor of our children. Such an amazing event. November 2nd, Cayce Seal 4th annual bass fishing tournament, right? Funds received from this will go into the Lyman Scholarship Fund at Pearl River Community College. We want the Lyman to be able to, young kids that can't afford to go to school can have a scholarship, can go to school, can learn a wonderful trade in life, and get something to better their family and get a better life, but do it safely. So please come out. Any support we can have, come out and give us a hand volunteering. We have monetary support. We have sponsorships. Those are great, and which helps us reach our goal each year to belly fund these scholarships. So we're excited. We are blessed beyond measure to be able to talk about these things, right? And I have one Cayce story. This Cayce story it really epitomizes who Cayce was. This was a soccer coach. I've coached 12 seasons at Bays. Every year is the same. The coaches who have the first game in the morning on game day are to line the field and bring out the benches on the field. Their respective games are going to be played. 10 fields, 20 different coaches to split duties of painting lines and bringing out benches. Year after year, there were always coaches who either didn't get the memo or just flat out didn't feel like showing up early to do it. So many times fields weren't lined and benches weren't brought out by the coaches. It was disappointing when this happened year after year. This past season, though, when I'd show up early, when it was my turn, there was a guy already there who had already painted lines on all 10 fields, not just the one he's responsible for, and brought out the benches to all 10 fields. To do this, he had to show up like at 6 a.m., like 3 full hours before the first games would be played. Every single week, there he was, always ready, already there before the rest of us, going above and beyond. It was Cayce Seal. I was so impressed by his selflessness and dedication and was so grateful for them. I can't believe I never asked him his name or knew him as Cayce. And I took it for granted that I would have another opportunity to thank him directly for what he does for the kids and coaches at Bays the next season. A couple days after I started seeing the pictures of him and his beautiful family being shared on Facebook and learning the terrible news of what had happened to this awesome man that I admired. In the short time I got to know him, he was such an awesome man, humbled and friendly. I'm just devastated by the loss and haven't been able to stop thinking about him and his family for days. Totally devastated when I read the news today. I'd hoped so bad he would survive. Cayce Seal was a great man, father, son, brother, coach. I just pray he knows that some of us coaches notice his dedication and how much it was appreciated. The world lost a very good man, and for as long as I live, I'll remember him as a great man. Thanks, Cayce, for showing us how it was done. This was a guy that just volunteered out there. Coach.
How many more stories you got?
Yeah, man, I just snipped some stuff out. It was just, I don't know. It was just,
let's grab another one in there.
There's stuff, right? And this is cool, right? And this was a local reporter, right? He said, I knew Cayce's dad years before I'd met him while I was covering water bill drama at Bay St. Louis City Council meetings. In 2014, he was convinced for me to volunteer at the boiled seafood booth at the Crab Fest. Heat, sweating, large crowds, and serving plates of food were not very brand for me, but y'all know, can't say no. I was wearing a pink tank top and watermelon swim trunks. Cayce's hair was grown out, and he wore America tank top. Cayce came in and hugged me, and it wasn't a two-tap, get away from me from this guy kind of hug. It was a genuine, friendly embrace. This weekend was filled with jokes, water breaks, and a few more hugs. At this point in my life, I wasn't very comfortable with myself in public as a gay man at a church event. Growing up gay and fat, you guard yourself in unsafe spaces, and because you often hear the whispers and jokes. But that was never the case with Cayce. He radiated kindness and love. Cayce and I saw each other randomly over the next 7 years at weddings or at nights out or at funerals, and I always got that mouth open grin and that warm embrace. I say all this because right after Cayce's accident, his dad posted on Facebook imploring people not to be afraid to tell others you love them. He said to this day, he kisses his sons on his cheek and says, I love you, even though they probably get embarrassed. But I think Mr. Doug was wrong. I think Cayce looked at love the same way. Cayce was inclusive. I mean, he was friends with everyone. He loved everyone. He included everyone. If he saw someone sitting on a corner, he brought them in, right? But that's a trait, that we gave him a foundation. He built off of it. Cody, we gave him a foundation. He built off of it, right? We're proud of our sons. They've been a wonderful. It's amazing, the journeys. And, the soccer programs put LLCD on all the jerseys. All the kids that played in Bays had LLCD, lived like Cayce did on their jerseys, in honor of Cayce for like 3 or 4 years, right?
That's awesome.
And just a little reminder, right, of doing the right things. And like Charlie said, not wanting recognition for it, not even telling people who you are, what you're doing. You just did it because it was the right thing to do, right? And in life, again, if we all live like Cayce did, we gave more than we took, how much better the world would be. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Well, a blessing.
This has been absorbed the energy.
Yeah.
me and you crying over here.
Yeah, it's I don't know, dude. And my wife said, man, you can just talk, but I'm so proud of my boys.
Look,
right. My Cody, I mean, look at the journey he's been on, right? Look at the man he's become. It's just, it's amazing, right? The smile, you see that smile and that laugh. My wife's texting me, right? Fishing tournament will have live music and raffles.
Yep.
So
I just seen that too. Good,
but,
good lookout.
But yeah, so it's proud of my wife. We've 37 years of marriage and we're still best friends. And my kids, as they got older and dating and stuff, and they always said it's not fair. Y'all weren't fair to us because y'all don't have a normal relationship. Like what? Y'all don't scream and holler and fight. No, we don't. I grew up in that. My kids are not going to grow up in that, right? My wife comes from a divorced family, right? We're like, no, we're not. After I quit drinking, that was it, right? We don't always agree. We always see eye to eye.
You just hop on the motorcycle and bounce.
But we go, we get it done, right? We keep moving forward, right? We've never no quitting, right?
Everything takes work.
It does, right? And it's not 50-50, it's not 90-20, it's it's 100-0 sometimes. It's and it's just it takes work, right? And to make it work. And now we're at the point in life, right? She retired 2 months before Cayce's accident, which was a blessing, right? Because it just helps, just helped her through things. Now she's volunteering at the Catholic school where both the boys went to school.
That's awesome.
So she's out the house, she's doing that. But we're at the point in life. She's like, you need to retire. We need to just go and travel. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I can't do that. And she can sit in that rocking chair 12 hours. I can sit in there for about 20 minutes. And it's like, nope, we got to do something. Yeah. But God has blessed us. And, we want to live our faith, not to be proud or not to say, look at us. We want to live our faith so people say, I too can do that with my faith.
I mean, it's coming back around, guys. A lot of this negativity in this world is changing. Yeah. You can only take so much media BS.
Oh yeah, that's measurable. It's absolutely crazy. You can't watch TV hardly anymore. I mean, it's just and I watched the CBS. I watched the Jane Pauley on Sunday mornings, right? Those little short documentary clips. I watched the gold rush people. I watched the crabbing people. I watched the documentary type things. And
Emily's hooked back on Home Depot. Not Home Depot. What's the Tim Allen one?
Oh yeah,
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. Yeah,
Emily's been watching.
Yeah, but it's stuff like that. It's just. But you can't. You watch the news and you got all these different news channels just swaying. However the hell they want to make the news is what they're doing, basically. Yeah. And it's just. I don't know where the world's coming to. Don't predict the end of the world.
You're doing good things, and but you're doing you're making changes, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah. I miss Walter Cronkite and Douglas Edward.
Oh yeah,
and those guys, because all they did was they told the facts.
Right.
And that's all they did.
Yep. Oh wait, them were the guys who just sat there very serious.
Oh yeah, yeah. Walter Cronkite eating the news. Yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Doug, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We love you guys. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're on your way to work, on your way to work, and you pick up the podcast, and you have a good time, have a good listen. We are stuck in your radio.
Yeah, we are.
And Doug Seal will be back on later, and later on.
And thanks for the good cry.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I needed it.
Yeah.
Also, we got some more stuff. We got a bunch of stuff coming out. We'll have Mr. Doug back on. There's big things coming up in the future for him. I'll be having Jesse back on. I like having people on this show that have real hearts, real stories. And it's just been a great night. We love you guys, and definitely check out that tournament coming up. And then what'd you say, the 19th,
October 19th, Robert Ingersoll poker run and benefit at the Lakeshore Community Center.
All right, we love you guys. You have a good night.